Tonight, City Council is meeting electronically, specifically through Zoom again, to prevent the spread of COVID-19, and in coordination with the Cass County Health Department, the City of Belton continues to direct residents stay home except to carry out essential services and to exercise. When you do go out for those things, remember to follow the CDC guidelines of keeping a physical distance of 6 feet and frequently washing your hands. Due to the size of City Council and to comply with this direction, the City Council tonight is being conducted electronically. We welcome the members of the public who are observing and attending this meeting via the link provided in the agenda. With that, we're going to move into our work sessions. So at this time, I'd like to call the work session to order. This is April 21st, 2020. What are the items for review and discussion that we have this evening?
Thank you, Mayor. This evening we have, at the request of Councilman Finn, we've brought forward the topic of fireworks sales permits. We did put together a briefing of all the information that is pertinent to Belton fireworks sales, permit eligibility, and those items that are within our code of ordinances. It is there for your discussion. If you have any questions, Chief Sapp is here to answer those as well as myself.
So how do we get this started this evening? What kind of discussion do we want to have? Councilman Finn, do you want to bring this up?
Yeah, I'll jump on this one. This was brought to my attention. We've had several people that are very interested in working the nonprofit piece of this and looking for a sixth permit within our city limits. We currently have 5. Has been deemed that we, for every 4,000 in population, we'll have 1 permit. So looking at the growth of the city in the last couple of years specifically, it looks like we will be cresting that 24,000 and looking for a 6th permit possibly. So as it was brought to my attention, I brought it in a discussion 2 weeks ago, and we're at this point and definitely want to hear the feedback of the rest of the council, their position if we want to move forward to this, and also hearing from Chief Sapp as well.
Show me a signal if somebody wants to talk. Give me a Councilman Trutzel.
My question would be, I have no problem with the population and probably the possibility. I'm just kind of wondering if we're going to, is there ever going to be a maximum number we're going to put in town? I know that when you get into Johnson County, it's done away with fireworks completely. So, I know outside of town, we get a lot of fireworks tents, and I have no problem with what you're suggesting, Ryan. But I just kind of wonder where this is going to end up at.
Anybody else? Let me see. Councilman Finn wants to, then Councilman Clark, then Councilwoman Peak.
I was going to speak to Councilman Trutzel. As far as that goes, what is the limit on that? It doesn't seem to me this is going to get out of hand with the trajectory and growth of our city. At this point, if we were to push and move this forward to a 6th, we wouldn't see a 7th until we got to, what is that, a 28,000 population. So looking at the timeline of what that would take, that may be before we do that, who knows? So it doesn't seem like we're going to end up having like 30 of these things running around. And if we do, we've got some other things to consider as well.
Councilman Clark, you were next.
Yeah, I was on council before it looks like 2010 is when this was all changed based on some public hearings of planning and zoning to limit it to every, was it 6,000 or 4,000?
4,000.
I think back in the day we would have 8 to 10 of them. They all had to be a non-for-profit. And even going back then, and maybe something happened between 2002 and 2010 to make the change. But I don't remember there being a lot of not-for-profits doing fireworks and there being an abundance of those. So again, I also would be in favor, since we are close to that 24,000 mark, to move forward with it.
Councilwoman Peak, you were next.
Well, I think I made it clear at the last meeting, I don't think we need any more fireworks. I would like to see us raise it from the 4,000 up to 5,000 or 6,000. We have signs on every corner. It seems like I know there's not a tent on every street corner, but it certainly seems like it. There's plenty of places. I mean, Cass County, go down Holmes Road. I mean, that's out of the city, but I personally, I don't think we need to raise it. We currently have a code or an ordinance. We need to just go ahead and, I think, follow it for now, and then maybe once the census come out, revisit it, but I'm not for adding any more. I think 5 is plenty for our city.
Who's next?
So I'll just
Councilman
mention.
Van Winkle?
I'm sorry.
And I guess it's fair to anticipate that we'll reach that mark that would boost us into where we would have another one based on our ordinance. Are we giving consideration if it doesn't reach that? Are we going to retract it back to 5 next year, Ryan?
How are we looking at this? Councilman Finn, go ahead.
You know, Councilmember Van Winkle, I got to think that we've got to go by the codes that have been written. So if our population should rise above the 24 and then drop below it, if that's something that we need to consider to follow the codes, then we would have to, we'd have to make that decision at that time. But I see your point there. If we were to drop in population, for sure.
Chief
Well-
Sapp, you were going to say something.
Yeah, so,
Can
I mean,
finish here?
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. What I'm getting at is, let's say we go ahead and move forward and approve it, but we're not gonna get the census tally until what, end of the year? At the earliest? And what I'm getting at is, if, let's say we don't reach it. I mean, I would think we would, but let's say we don't reach it, then retract it back to the 5 permits. Because for the nonprofits in the city, I'd support going ahead and moving forward. That's the way our ordinance reads, and I think it's a fair assumption that we're going to reach that amount. I don't think we'll be retracting. It was just whether we actually 100% make it to that cutoff is all I was getting at. And if that's the case, then either way, as long as we're following the ordinance, I think that's what's important here. And if we don't like that number, then we need to change the ordinance. That's all I have to say.
Chief Sapp, you were up. Go ahead.
Okay, well, and I think that the fire department would agree. We're not really here to advocate whether we cut, whether we add. We obviously wouldn't like to see it back. You know, I think in previous years, in the late 90s, early 2000s, we had upwards of 20 tents, and that's a little much. But what we want is be able to have more firm ground to stand on so that we can defend when we do this. And much like Councilman was just saying, that I'd hate to shoot arbitrarily at something that we think we're going to make, only to find out we didn't make it. And so the question becomes, who and what and when do we use as the official numbers? Is it just the census when it comes out? Is it the Census Bureau's estimates that seem to happen every couple of years, 2 to 3 years? So we would just rather have it more set like that to be able to defend to those people who do call us a lot to say, well, last time they did this and they did it early. Why won't you do it now?
Someone else was ready. Who was coming up? Comments. I'm staring in all directions on this board. I'm going to be cross-eyed. Councilman Trutzel.
You know, as far as these census numbers, rather than use the estimate, I think you need to, if we're going to do this, we need to use the number that comes up, whatever that is, to make it fixed at that point in time. The variation of estimates past that are just estimates as well. So, you know, if we go ahead and proceed on this, I would use the numbers that the Census Bureau officially makes the city of Belton population.
Yeah, that would mean it wouldn't be available to next year. Somebody else? Well, what do we want to do then? What are we looking for this? Councilwoman Peak?
Well, I would say for right now, we have a code, we have a policy that talks about it being the census. So I think we should just go ahead and follow what we have right now, wait for the census to come out, and then go from there.
Census has already been delayed, I believe. It has not. I know I'm getting notifications daily now, and they're going to have a hard time having a true. You can imagine what it's going to be. It's a debacle. What are they going to do to try to get everybody to turn it in? It's going to be difficult. I say that a lot of people are at home. Maybe they will get it done, but it could be a dilemma. Councilman Clark.
Mayor, I got a friend of mine, she's a census taker, and they have moved everything to audio now and not home visits like they were doing. So they're doing a lot of their meetings by over the phone now with the people that don't turn in their census.
That's interesting. That is scary. I wouldn't want them to go up to every door and be doing that. Councilman Finn.
I'm interested in moving this forward. What's the next action?
So you want to bring it up on the next meeting, which will be next week.
Please.
And what was the action that you're proposing?
I would like to bring it up for a vote to allow a 6.
Was that a 6th?
Correct.
Okay. Chief, are you on here, Chief Person? There you go. You're a little low there. I can't hardly see you.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. There you are.
I'm just thinking logistically, obviously, I don't have a dog in this fight. However, even if you approved it next week and you determined that you were going to take applications for the next licensee, and then it had to come back to the council for approval, by the time all of that would be done, I'm thinking it would leave whoever might be selected a fairly short window to secure a tent, a location, and inventory. So you're already looking at being past the 1st of May before you even begin this process.
I want to interject. Chief Sapp, help me here a second. I know Andrea, our clerk, knows how many people have applied for these permits this year. Does anybody know?
Well, I don't believe we've received any yet. Is that right?
No,
June-
because the
June-
meeting's not here yet.
Yeah, they have an annual meeting. And so basically what happens, since it's not opened up, we wait for the existing 5 to bring that to the meeting and submit it. And because basically you don't forfeit it. You don't have to regain it every year. The people who had already had them get to keep them as long as they get their permits done on time and pay for their fees. And so then the actual complete deadline for us would be 1st of June. And so we haven't gotten any current ones yet for this year, but we anticipate that we would get all 5 that we've always had in the past.
City Manager.
Yes, I understand from a conversation that the city clerk had earlier today with Fire Marshal Chris Beal, and I think he's right there with you, Chief Sapp,
He
is that there are, in the past, we've had 11 people waiting in the queue, 11 organizations that want to be considered on top of our current 5 that already receive a license. So that means you'd have to have a lottery of some sort to be able to select who that one additional would be. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
I think he said that's correct.
That is correct. So the thing is, we've never had to do that yet because the 5 that are existing are the 5 that got it through a lottery system in 2010 when this changed. So adding one is going to be brand new for this, but it would look like a lottery system because we do have a number of them. And since this was on the agenda this time, we've had a number of calls of interest just this week. So that's what we anticipate, that it looks like some kind of lottery drawing system to, they still have to meet the qualifications that they're a not-for-profit here in town. And so that's how we see that working.
Councilman Finn, I think you had a question.
I think it's another great opportunity to bring in a nonprofit and benefit an organization as our city's growing. That's why we're moving forward. And if this selection process isn't until June, I get that. That's what, 40 days away, and yet we've got some time. Let's look into it. Let's do our job.
So again, what is it that you want to do now? I want to get this specific.
I want to get it on the agenda for next week to see if the council is in favor of moving this forward and approving a sixth.
So my question becomes, Councilman Finn, are you wanting a motion to just add another person? Or are you wanting to amend the code to less than 4,000 so that you can do that?
No, I don't want to amend the code. My evaluation of what's going on within our city is going to dictate that we're going to hit the 24. I'm very optimistic on that. And we can be proactive and go ahead and do it, or we can just wait and see. I'm more being proactive here. I know this is where we're heading. This is not just something we're doing. This is, again, it's a nonprofit. I don't even know which one's going to get it, but it sounds like we've got 11 that are very interested in doing it. I think it'd be in the interest of the community to do it.
Okay, can we get that on there for next week then?
Sure. I think what I'm hearing is that you want to have a motion done then to just add a sixth and not affect code.
Correct.
Patrick, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, and so Councilmember Finn, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like what you're saying is that you would like the code to be interpreted that the city, as of right now, has 24,000 people in it based on the unofficial census from 2 years ago and the growth that has occurred since then?
Correct. Looking at all indicators pointing to the growth of our city, especially in the last 2 years, would dictate, and you guys know what's going on as far as building and construction within our city right now. That's going to indicate that we will crest that mark, and let's be proactive on it, move forward, because we know we're going to hit the 24.
Is that enough?
Yeah, I'll get with Patrick on the side and determine what the best manner is to bring that forward for the council's consideration at next Tuesday's meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. With that, it's time to adjourn the work session. At this time, we're going to call a special meeting to order. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance at this time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Okay, could we have the roll call, please?
Mayor Davis,
Here?
Councilmember Savage,
Here.
Councilmember Lathrop,
He's muted.
he's here.
Okay.
Councilmember Lathrop,
Here.
Councilmember Savage. I'm sorry, Councilmember Trutzel,
Here.
Councilmember Van Winkle,
Here.
Councilmember Clark,
Here.
Councilmember Finn,
Here.
Councilmember Davidson,
Here.
Councilmember Peak.
Here.
Thank you. That was a tough one. This is all tough to do. You guys got to know that. Okay, so we have to be flexible here. Consent agenda, one motion, non-debatable, to approve the recommendations noted Any member of the council may ask for an item to be taken from the consent agenda for discussion and separate action.
Yeah.
Second.
Motion and a second discussion. Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 Did we get everybody? That motion passes. There are no personal appearances this evening. Moving on to ordinances. We have no ordinances this evening. No resolutions. We do have a city council liaison report, do we not?
Yep.
Councilwoman Davidson.
So the folks at the Parks Department are staying busy despite the current virus situation. Some updates that are happening at High Blue Wellness Center include, excuse me, updates on work. Most equipment has been delivered. A few items are stored until they get rid of the old equipment. So the old gym equipment is actually up for bid on I think Mayo's handling that Mayo auction. That auction ends April 28th for anybody interested. Painting and general building cleaning is being done. Also live Facebook classes are being done every day and some evenings. You can find those on Facebook, their Facebook page. Also, the trainers are doing Zoom workouts for the training clients in small groups, all in an effort to, have that client retention when we reopen. In terms of marketing, the Easter egg hunt, the Easter egg hunt will happen. It just is not going to be for Easter. I know Hy-Vee is still really excited about Summerfest and also theater in the park. Those are all tentative, just kind of waiting to see what the restrictions look like as they start to be eased. All upcoming rentals through May have been contacted. That's at the Memorial Station. Unfortunately, almost all pool party shelters and senior center rentals have requested refunds. That's to be expected. To date, only 2 station rentals have canceled, so that's good news. The rest are holding out for new dates later in 2020. In terms of maintenance, the pools have been drained and acid washed. That's both lap and rec pools. They've replaced light bulbs in both pool areas, sanded and recoated slide runouts. They're also training the athletic field supervisor. Mowing is underway. There was an additional mower purchase that has been able to reduce the number of mowing days, I think from 4.5 down to 3. So that's good. They have more time for other things. And then they're starting concrete repair at the entrance to High Blue Wellness Center. So very, very busy.
Do we have any other? Councilman Trutzel.
Councilman Davidson, did they say anything about what they're going to do this summer with the kids?
So they're proceeding with summer camp signups, and they've been advertising some of their some of the higher up employees that are going to be working at the summer camp. So they're still moving forward with that. The director has been in contact almost daily regarding the phased approach to reopening, because gyms are part of the phase 1 opening. So we're just kind of waiting and seeing. Some of the information that comes out is a little bit muddy, but they're just proceeding as planned for now.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Mayor's communications. We've got some appointees here that we're looking for jobs First one is A, motion approving Lori Peak as Mayor Pro Tem for the second term, election of Mayor Pro Tem, and that's in Charter Section 3.4. So that's my nominee. You want any discussion, or do you want to vote?
Let's vote.
Motion and second's what I'm after first.
Second.
I'll make a motion.
Motion.
Then I'll give a second then.
Second
You guys
comes
battle it
first.
out. We've got a
I
motion and a second. Any discussion? So Councilwoman Peak, you're going to go first on this.
I'm going to vote for
You
sure.
got ahead. You said sure. We'll take that as an aye. What's next?
Aye.
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 To you, Lathrop.
Aye.
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 Councilman Van Winkle. Okay, so that motion is unanimous, and congratulations. You do a really good job, and we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Be a motion approving Chet Trutzel as the Planning Commission liaison.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Did you get those? Okay, discussion. Seeing none.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. C, a discussion regarding Park Board liaison position. Who's going to talk about this first? Stephanie, you going to talk about this?
I can.
I nominate Stephanie.
I think second. I agree with that one.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Okay,
Heck, her
so now
reports are the
discussion.
best.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
Well, so I've been doing it for two years now. I don't know how happy anybody is with me, but I've been doing it for 2 years. So if anybody wants to do it and kick me out, that's fine. Otherwise, here I am.
You do an
I
excellent job.
nominate Stephanie.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I agree.
Are you ready to vote, Councilman Finn? Are you a comment?
I'm ready to vote.
Okay. Any other
Does anybody
discussion?
want it besides Stephanie?
What's that?
So do
I said
you
nobody
accept
wants
it?
it besides Stephanie, so we're good.
You accept? Okay, all right.
Aye.
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 That motion passes. And thank you, Councilwoman Davidson. You're doing a good job and we appreciate it.
Thanks.
Last thing I have for communication is I know we've been bombarded, all of us, with lots of questions, concerns about what our decisions are going to be about how we're going to do with the virus and how we're going to go back to work. So I would probably like to know, when are we going to go ahead and do our decision? When are we going to talk?
I spoke with Chief Person this afternoon, who is our emergency management director as well. He's and I have both been in constant conversations and communications with Andrew Warland, who is the Cass County Public Health Director. I do know that they are working on a release of information. We are to have a conversation again tomorrow for additional information. So we hope to have that answered for our community sometime tomorrow afternoon.
Tomorrow afternoon. All right. With that, we have City Manager's report.
The only thing that I have at this time is that we do have another meeting coming up this next Tuesday, April 28th. And then we will be back to our regular schedule of the second and fourth Tuesday. I would like to, depending on what this looks like as we try to resume back to normal going forward, I think we should continue to keep those meetings every 2 weeks on the 12th and 26th, unless we just don't have anything to come before the council. So that's the only really update that I have for this evening, is just those 3 upcoming meetings in April and May. And also to remind council that we do have one more meeting or a holiday that comes up in there, and it's a newer holiday for us this year. It's Friday, May 8th. It's Truman's birthday, and city offices will be closed that day.
Can you say that one again?
Any questions? Councilman Clark.
I didn't catch that holiday and the date.
That's Friday, May 8th, and it's Truman Day.
Truman Day. Gotcha.
It's my son's birthday. Neat. Okay, with that, any other business? Anybody? Councilman Savage?
Yep, when we get the report tomorrow afternoon from Cass County, would you be willing to send that out to us, share it somehow so we know what's going on out here as far as council goes?
Sure.
That'd be great.
Super. Any other business? Seeing none. Motion to enter executive session, discuss matters pertaining to legal actions according to Missouri State Statute 610-021, and to discuss matters pertaining to negotiated contracts according to Missouri State Statute 610-021-12, and that the record be closed and the meeting adjourned from there.
Present.
Motion
Second.
and a second. Did we get them, Andrea? The motion and a second. Okay.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Councilwoman Peak?
Aye.
Aye.